Good evening. Welcome to Keystone. It is our work session. Please, if we could rise and a salute to the flag and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What the fuck am I gonna do here?
Thank you. I would just like to announce that we had 2 executive sessions, please. We had an executive session January 29th for school board training and guidance with Mark Dyracchio. It started at 7:11 and it ended at 9:45 p.m. This was a paid training session for board members, but right before the meeting, he announced he was not going to charge the district for his services. Thank you, Mark. This evening, we had an executive session at 6:32 to 6:31. We had a real estate tax assessment appeal and then student agreements. Thank you very much. A3, roll call vote, please.
Dr. Baldino?
Here.
Ms. Bohart? Here. Ms. Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Scap?
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. And before we move on to A4, I just wanted to announce, due to a recent passing of one of our beloved board members, our secretary with Dr. Redmond will be announcing another board vacancy, Region 8, Castania, Bald Eagle Townships, Flemington Borough. More information will be coming. Thank you.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
you might want to announce to everybody that tonight's thing was put off till next week.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Very important. Yes. One more quick announcement. Due to everyone in complete agreement, without a doubt, there will hopefully be another meeting, 5 o'clock, before the voting section next week, where we can sit down with both of the candidates and have a proper interview and a vote. So we officially postponed tonight's interview and vote. Had to be done in a public meeting. So we appreciate everyone's consideration and patience with this. But this is something we could not do behind closed doors. We had to do it in a public meeting, and they were all very patient. Thank you. Motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented.
Emotional.
Second? Is there a second to approve the agenda as presented?
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Item B1, one of our favorites, Central Mountain High School, please. Come up to the microphone, introduce yourself.
You're back.
It's Kat, yeah. Hi, Kat.
Hello, I'm Catherine Farrell. I'm a junior and I am the student representative, the board representative for the student government. Good evening. It's wonderful to be with all of you again. I'd like to start our monthly message off with celebrations. Earlier this month, 18 of our Skills USA students won their district competitions and will be competing at the state competitions in April. We also had 4 chorus students qualify for regional chorus, and the district band festival is happening right now. And we would like to give a special shout out to Miss Ella Hamilton for making the all-state a cappella group. Ella is one of 20 students across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be accepted. Boys and girls basketball will be closing out their seasons. Later this month, we will have multiple students swimming at districts, and we look for continued success of our wrestling program at districts, regionals, and states. Earlier this week, administration described our new pathways modeled to all students in the building. Students are now currently in the process of selecting courses for the next year. Students were pleased that so many different courses are available for choice. We hope that the board will continue to support the number of faculty needed to offer all of these courses that provide great opportunities for our students. Student government is currently looking at the data of the number of students choosing to go to online school. We are worried at the number of students leaving traditional school for the online options. We look forward to conversations with administration and the board with how we can create an environment that will bring those students back and keep more from leaving. But we would remind the board that in order to keep students from leaving, we have to be able to offer options that will make the students want to stay. We're really happy that we have been including in committee meetings. We look forward to our continued presence and our opportunities for a voice to be heard at various committee meetings. We would like to remind the board that no one understands our building better than us, the students, and we have a lot of ideas and concerns to share. We know that you guys are in the process of 3 new members of the board. We look forward to working with whoever is chosen. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Kat.
Yes.
Item B2, Central Mountain Middle School.
They were unable to attend.
Okay, not a problem. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah.
Item B3, Bucktail Middle School, High School Campus.
They didn't.
Sorry they could not join us this evening. Look forward to seeing them next time. Item C1, Baker Tilly 2024-25 Final Audit Presentation. Welcome back, gentlemen. Please take a seat, introduce yourselves. Oh, and you too, I'm so sorry. I don't think we've ever met. Hi, Caitlin. Take your time and then Colton will help you with any presentations that,
Okay, we'll get started here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you here. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, John, would you be so kind? We have some new members here and they probably, it would be helped if they understood what kind of audit this is
Sure.
and what kind of funds you look at. That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Happy to be here this evening to share with you the results of our June 30, 2025 single audit of Keystone Central School District. The district follows what we call a fiscal year end. So we're talking about the period from July 1 of 2024 through June 30 of 2025. Just in terms of the type of audit that we've done here, kind of recognizing some new faces on the board. The first thing that I would mention is very few entities undergo an audit of their own volition. There's typically some sort of regulatory requirement or debt requirement or something along those lines. And when you think about Keystone Central and your general fund operations, your general fund is funded about 52% with state dollars and somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4% of federal dollars. And because of those intergovernmental revenues, we call those, there's both a state requirement and a federal requirement that the district be audited on an annual basis by a CPA firm such as Baker Tilly. So in addition to those intergovernmental revenues that I mentioned, the district has approximately $43 million in debt in the form of general obligation bonds. And anytime you issue debt to that extent, there's typically in a public forum what are known as continuing disclosure requirements. So as individuals, as institutions invest in your bonds or purchase your bonds, typically associated with that, there's a requirement that you provide them with periodic financial information or audited financial statements. So in terms of external third-party users, these financial statements will go to the federal government. They'll go to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They'll be uploaded to this website known as the Electronic Municipal Market Access, where your bondholders can access your financial statements and kind of take the pulse as to how you're doing financially. And the audit process itself, what we're doing is essentially we're independent of Keystone Central. We're certified public accountants. We've been trained in this. Our firm does a lot of this type of public sector work, as we call it. So we will gather information, gather evidence to support the numbers in your financial statements, the disclosures in your financial statements. Believe me, it's a process. At the end of this process, we provide an opinion on your financial statements. So if you were to read through your single audit report, it's about a 70-some page report. Within the financial statements, there's this auditor's opinion. And among other things, it will say, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects. And we'll talk about this concept of materiality here this evening. The financial position and results of operations of Keystone Central School District. So those third-party users, the state, the federal government, your bondholders, your taxpayers, frankly, they gain assurance from the fact that we've looked at your numbers, we verified that they're accurate. There's a lot of third-party verification involved here. For instance, the business manager here, her team, they prepare the trial balances that kind of feed into these financial statements. We think they're very good at what they do. But frankly, we can't take their word for it that Keystone Central has X number of dollars in the bank or that your debt is a certain dollar amount. We need to verify that independently. So we'll talk to your bankers, we'll talk to the bond trustees and kind of, as I had mentioned, gather this evidence to support our opinion. So that's the process. We have maybe a 20-minute presentation here this evening. It's very high level. But if anyone does have questions as we go through this, feel free to stop us as we go. I've been doing this a long time. Adam's been doing it not quite as long, but a long time himself, as has Kate. And I always tell boards or councils that the preparation of a set of financial statements in this day and age, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and the audit thereof, it gets technical real quick. So, we're looking at this stuff day in, day out, and it can be difficult for us to understand. So I can appreciate how someone who's not doing this every day might have questions. So please don't hesitate to stop us as we go. I think with that, we'll turn it over to Adam and he'll kind of lead us through our prepared remarks. And again, if you have questions as we go, feel free to stop us.
Okay, so sliding over to slide 2. Which they told me in the back they had it controlled, so we'll go with them. So what we have here, there's more to our audit team than just the 3 of us that are sitting here in front of you. There's certainly a number of people that we bring in throughout the audit process. As John mentioned, he's been doing this a long time. He is a CPA. He's been involved and really is the ultimate sign off at the end of the day from our side to make sure that the team has done what we need to do to support the opinion that we provide. My name's Adam Hartzell. I'm also a CPA, senior manager, and I facilitate conversations with the board, with management, and keep tabs of the engagement team throughout the course of time to make sure that we're on target, we're doing the procedures we need to do, the evidence makes sense, and that everything comes together in a timely fashion at the end of the day. Also with us this evening is Kate Mowry. Kate is also a CPA. She's not been with us quite as long, but she's still been doing this for a number of years. And all 3 of us focus, I would say, 95% of our time in our public sector industry, which really is audits of governments, nonprofit organizations, some higher ed sprinkled in there. So like John said, we do this day in and day out for a variety of clients. The rest of the team, as you can see, those are the rest of the kind of staff level individuals that we had on site working with your business manager and her team. Certainly want to thank Joni and Christy and everybody involved in this process. Getting to this point, even though it seems like it's a long time from June 30, getting to this point and having the audit done and issued is a big undertaking. Certainly would not be possible. We would not be here right now talking about the final issued audit if your internal business team didn't have things under control.
Great.
Okay, slide 3 is so quickly kind of the overview of what we're going to talk about. We'll give you a very high level executive summary of what does the audit actually tell us. As a user, what would I point you to and say, here's what it means to you? There are some required communications in our audit process, things that come up through the course of the audit that we need to communicate with the board. So we'll briefly run through those. The good news is there's really not a whole lot there to talk about. There'll be a number of bullet points that we'll quickly skim through, but there's not a lot to expand upon on most of those.
Right.
Then we'll turn it over to Kate. Kate will walk us through the kind of what did the numbers tell us, again, at a very high level. For us to really do the audit report justice, we would probably need all of the rest of tonight and probably into the weekend. And nobody, I know you guys don't want to hear that. We don't want to be here talking about that the entire weekend. So this is really executive summary. We're kind of going to pinpoint what do you really need to know from the audit standpoint. Okay. All right. So as we move into the executive summary, I know we had met with the board back, I believe it was back in August. And kind of at that point, we had shared with you how we plan to go about performing our audit. We talked a little bit about timing, some of the key audit concepts, one of which, as John mentioned, was materiality, and that we don't look at every single transaction. Our audit report provides reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. Absolute assurance would be we look at every single transaction that runs through the organization during the year. For us to do that currently, we would have to have somebody on site almost every day of the year that you're open, where you're processing transactions, and we would look at them in real time. Probably faster than I would like to think. With technology, I can envision a day where your computers talk with our computers and they tell us, here's the exceptions that you need to look at. So somewhere down the road, we may get to that absolute assurance side, but right now it's reasonable assurance. And we use that materiality threshold to say, what would a knowledgeable, reasonable user of your financial statements find important? We did conduct the audit according to these accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. All of the required disclosures are included in your financial statements. For your year ended June 30, 2025, your general fund balance decreased about $6.7 million, which is a little bit unusual for the district. You've had a run of a number of good years where you've been adding to your fund balance. And there's really kind of a couple of pieces that go into that. From a revenue standpoint, as we compare your general fund revenue with what you had budgeted or anticipated for June 30, 2025, your revenues actually came in about 1.8% more than what you had anticipated, which amounted to about $1.6 million. On the expenditure side, your expenditures were about $4.4 million more than what you had anticipated. That's about 5%. Most of that increase was due to just additional costs related to charter schools, cyber schools. As you're having students kind of moving into those arenas, it certainly is there's a cost to the district. And that's a somewhat hard number to budget because you don't know when you're putting the budget together what the actual tuition is going to be based on where they go, or even how many students are going to go to that.
Nice question. Thank you. Is this part of your audit or not? And we can talk about this maybe in the finance committee, but it says increase partially due to cyber charter schools tuition payments exceeding budget. Now, is there like a percent of that 4,400,000? Can we say 75% was due to the cyber charter, that they didn't expect the cyber charter to cost 4,400,000 more when they originally made the budget? See, that's how am I supposed to read that?
Yeah, so the primary driver of that increase was but not the sole driver, was the cyber charter schools. That was about $2.5 million of the 4.4.
Okay, so roughly half of that was due to the cyber charter school costing $2.5 million more than was actually budgeted.
Correct.
So then the other 2 million?
Regular operating costs that had gone up, healthcare went up, salaries were up. There was nothing kind of big from a big number standpoint.
Okay.
That was like, okay, this is the other big piece. It's a combination of a lot of different smaller things.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Very good.
You know, there's a schedule in the financial statements,
Page 54.
page 54, that provides a breakdown kind of revenue source by revenue source, and then functional expense category.
Oh, I don't have that
In
report.
more detail.
I don't have that.
And kind of underlying this information would be the individual accounts, and you can really pick through the details to see what was over or under budget. But if you remember, it's page 54 in the audit. Yeah,
Oh, you're not gonna post it? Oh, it's just through email. Thank you. That's, okay, we're just gonna get it through personal email. Okay, thank you. I saw the email.
yeah, it looks like this. It's
Okay, I didn't get a chance to open it yet, but I will.
Yep.
Page 54.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, and on the slide there, we do note it's kind of in smaller size font, but it is page 54 listed on that general fund budgetary review to kind of point you to where that information is coming from.
Okay, super terrific.
The other thing I'll mention here is, so there's another, so you have your revenues, you have your expenditures, then there's this category that's kind of a catch-all that's what they call other financing sources and uses. Most of what's in there is kind of transfers that the district makes into or out of funds. So you've got your general fund, you've got capital projects funds, you've got your food service fund, all is kind of its own quasi entity that rolls up into the overall district. During 2025, fiscal 2025, the district had $3.5 million more in incurred costs for the other financing uses than what you had budgeted. Predominantly, it was one line item, which was you moved $3.8 million from the general fund to your capital projects fund
Liberty County.
for the project.
Yeah.
There was, when you did the budget, there was nothing in there to, from a transfer standpoint, to move from general fund over. So it looks like it was not budgeted for, but you move the money to the capital projects fund for the project. And that's part of the other reason why your general fund balance
Went down.
decreased $6.7 million.
Sure.
More than half of that, 6.7, was that transfer to fund the construction project.
Mhm.
Okay, sliding over to page 5. So what does the audit report tell us? So in the audit report, we give two opinions. We give an opinion on the fair presentation of the financial statements. That's on page 1. It's the second paragraph when you look at it. And it essentially is what we call an unmodified opinion, which means without exception, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. That's the highest level of assurance that any audit firm can provide. Again, it's reasonable assurance. It's not absolute, but it is the opinion. And it has been the hallmark of the district that you've gotten an unmodified opinion for years. And that there's a bar there to get to that level. I mentioned there's two opinions. The second opinion we give is on your compliance with the federal award programs. So the district receives and expends federal financial assistance, so money that starts at the federal government and trickles through and comes to the district that you spend. That money has strings attached to it. There's certain things you can do with it. There's certain things you can't do with it. Because you receive and expend currently more than $750,000. I think you expended about $6.5 million in 2025. So well over that 750. We need to do this kind of special audit that's two audits in one. Audit of the numbers and audit of compliance. We're also have provided an unmodified opinion on your compliance. That means without exception, you've complied in all material respects with the requirements of the major federal award program. Okay. As part of the audit, we also are required to look at your internal control system, that system of checks and balances internal to the organization to make sure that transactions happen the way that they should be. We look at internal control to understand the internal control system, to be able to plan how we go about performing our audit. As we're gaining that understanding, if there are instances where the control that we're looking at or looking for either is not present or it's not operating effectively, we have a professional responsibility to bring that to management and to the board's attention. We would do that in the form of a quote unquote finding that would be included in the back of the audit report. Happy to report that for your year ended June 30, 2025, there were no identified material weaknesses in your internal control system. And also from a compliance standpoint, we also need to look at your internal control over compliance, and there were no findings identified related to your compliance programs. So as I kind of step back and I always try to think, okay, what is the type of organization that I'm at? Realizing that we're at a school organization. This audit report is essentially your report card on your finances, and kind of bringing it to a report card standpoint. This tells me that you got an A+ on the report card of your district finances from an audit standpoint for June 30, 2025. There is a separate audit results document. Here over the next couple of slides, next couple of minutes, we'll talk through what those required communications are. The audit results document certainly would refer the board to that. There's a lot of information in there that'll kind of go a little bit deeper than I'm going to go here. There's also some recommendations in terms of things that you may want to think about from an operational standpoint in there as well. So certainly would point you to those to look at. Okay. Moving on to required communications. So over on slide 7, there's a whole litany of things up here. We've talked about internal control. There are from time to time new accounting standards that need to be implemented. There is 2 standards that were implemented for June 30, 2025. We'll talk briefly about those here in a minute. And then most of the rest of the bullets here, there's not a whole lot to talk about in that there were no real significant unusual transactions, no real difficulties encountered, no disagreements with management, nothing that affected the audit report. We didn't have to make any modifications to the audit report. And no corrected or uncorrected misstatements. So those are kind of journal entries that either are so clearly inconsequential that we collectively management say, we're not going to make those, or adjustments that are so big that we say, we need to make those to make the financial statements be fairly presented.
Let me ask a quick question. Thank you. When it said, I've never noticed this before, second bullet, accounting practice, including policies. Now, are you talking about our Keystone Central School District Board policies or your accounting policies?
That is accounting policies.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Everything we talk about this evening is going to be finance focused. So the numbers in the financial statements, the way that the numbers come together in the financial statements, there's a whole litany of things that goes on within the district that's kind of outside of the scope of what we're looking at here.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, John.
Page 8 of this slide deck here really talks about those internal control matters. I'm not going to read through it. There's information here that really defines what internal control is and what a material weakness is. I think the key bullet here, which I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, is there were no material weaknesses in internal control over financial reporting.
That's great.
Okay. Moving on, slide 9 talks about these accounting policies. I mentioned that there are from time to time new accounting standards that need to be implemented. There's 2 of them that were implemented for June 30, 2025. One deals with compensated absences, which is really the time that you provide for your employees to have off of work and be paid for it. There was a standard that was out there from, I think, the early 90s that really dealt with these leave policies at that time. Leave policies have changed significantly from the early 90s to today. And so this is kind of a refresh of the standard to take into account the types of leave that are in play today. As part of that, the ultimate requirement is that the district needs to recognize a liability for leave that is more likely than not to be used or settled. So historically, the calculation has been, what's the payout that somebody would potentially get when they would leave employment of the district?
Oh.
This also now brings in an element of you're providing this time off that carries over year after year after year. How much of that are your employees kind of using before they hit their separation date? And so there's an estimate, a calculation that goes into that to kind of recognize that when they're off, somebody else has to come in and take their spot, especially with a teacher. You can't leave a classroom unattended all day. So there's a cost to having a substitute in place. That's one of the big pieces of what this standard was trying to capture was when your employee is off, what's the cost to have that position still filled in some capacity?
May I ask a quick question? I don't remember talking about this last year. So you're saying this was just new this year?
Correct.
So then if we want to try to compare last year's numbers, there would be no data in prior years that was captured because it wasn't needed to be captured. Is that correct? There's nothing to compare it to.
So the statement was implemented as of July 1, so the beginning of your fiscal year.
Yeah.
And so to get to that point, we really did have to look at, okay, what existed at June 30, 2024?
Mm-hmm.
And under this new accounting standard, under the new requirements, what would that liability have been at the start of the year?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the third bullet here, the restatement amount. So as part of that, we added $5 million to the compensated absence liability at the beginning of the year to give recognition to the fact that under the new standard, you need to recognize that time that's used during employment. So if you were to look at the June 30, 2024 issued financial statement and look at the compensated absence liability, it is not comparable to the June 30, 2025 without adding this $5 million back to that beginning of your number.
Sure, I follow you. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's not something that's unique to Keystone Central. All schools, all counties, all cities, any government that offers compensated absences would be implementing this standard.
Okay.
And that's Keystone's increase in that liability in July 1 of 2024 was similar to what we've seen in other schools of this size.
Okay.
So,
would you say, if I'm reading this correctly, understanding it, you're saying that it's not like we've increased our expenses, it's just that it's being shown in a different way.
correct.
That's the final result.
Not
That's
to
it.
mention the prior standard was GASB statement number 16,
That's right.
which was 1991. It was a much simpler look at this concept. And, 30 some years later, there's different types of leave. GASB 16 focused on sick time, sabbaticals, and vacation. And GASB 101 focuses on those things, plus military leave, other types of comp time,
Okay,
maternal leave, maternity leave, et cetera. So it's like anything else, it's gotten more complex.
of course. Okay, thank you.
Time.
The other standard that was required to be adopted is Statement 102. It really had no impact on the district, but it did require a little bit of evaluation to look at it and say, are there certain risks that have potential finance impacts to the district that would need to be disclosed? That standard does not impact numbers. It's a pure disclosure only that a reader should be aware of that. An example would be if let's say you were a manufacturing entity and you had one supplier of your primary part in the widget that you make. That's a risk that would have to be disclosed because it's one supplier. You don't have another option. It creates risk for the organization. Looking at it from a school district standpoint, there's really nothing that for Keystone that came to light that we needed to disclose in that manner.
Great.
Okay. The next slide talks about estimates. Most of the numbers in your financial statements we can nail down to 100% with certainty. There are some. That compensated absence liability that we just talked about is a number that is an estimate. It's something that we're kind of using the facts and circumstances and some judgment to say, this is what the number is. It may be a little bit different when you ultimately go to pay it, but that's kind of the current estimate of what it is. So there's a whole list here of what the estimates are. We've looked at the estimates, we've looked at the underlying facts and assumptions that go into them and have determined that all of the estimates are reasonable in relation to your financial statements.
Okay.
Next slide talks about just a number, again, a litany of a number of other things. Again, would refer you to the official audit results document, but there's really nothing to talk about here on this slide. It's really a no. We didn't see anything. There's nothing we need to report on any of these.
Right?
Can I ask you a question there?
Yes, sir.
It has on there no fraud identified, but we did have a fraud issue.
You did. You had an external kind of vendor
Right.
impersonation fraud.
Yeah.
So by that, we're talking about kind of internal fraud that occurred internal to the district, was kind of
Okay.
self-contained.
Okay.
Okay. The last part of the required communications really is, as John mentioned, we are independent of the district. If we were not independent of the district, we actually would not be able to issue the audit report. And it clearly says at the top, independent auditors report. There are certain things that we're happy to help the district do that are not directly related to giving an opinion on the fair presentation of the financial statements. Those are things that we call non-attest services. They're things such as helping put together the financial statements, making sure that all the disclosures are in there, that the numbers flow and are in the right places. There's a data collection form that gets filed with the federal government that kind of summarizes the audit, the federal expenditures. We have a hand in helping to put that together. Again, not directly related to putting the opinion, but it's things that we're involved with kind of outside of that. We need to make sure that you're aware that there are some non-attest services that we provide. There are safeguards in place to make sure that we don't cross the line and lose our independence, because it's a cliff. Once you fall off the cliff, there's no going back up onto the cliff to get back to, well, I was not independent, now I am again. It's once you're off, you're off. So we've evaluated all of these services. You do have people in-house that can understand and accept responsibility for them. And that's the primary safeguard, is that there's somebody here that's accepting responsibility for those services. So we are independent of the district.
The old adage is you can't audit your own work. Because obviously you might be inclined to think that it was done properly versus
Chicken in the hen house or something, or what is it? Fox in the hen
Fox,
house?
yes.
something like that.
Okay, so at this point, we'll turn it over to Kate, and she's going to walk us through the numbers.
Perfect. Okay, so if we take a look here at slide 14, again, all of this is going to be kind of very high level, what the numbers were, what they're telling us. And then sometimes, as you mentioned, when you were talking about looking back to 2024, it's sometimes helpful to put into context where things have been over the last few years. So we'll see a bit of a 5-year trend here on this as well. So looking at slide 14, this is sort of just the general fund revenues by source and kind of how that broke out. As has historically been the case, state funding, so think basic ed, those kinds of things, is the largest portion. I think John mentioned that at the top of the revenues that the district receives. And then followed by local. And then obviously, if we look here in the orange, is kind of that federal funding. We will notice that kind of decreased this year, which I think was to be expected, as we think about the end of that ESSER funding that had just been so prolific in the last few years, that sort of ended here during the current fiscal year, which really resulted in that decrease in federal funding. And then if we look at the next slide here, kind of conversely looking at what the general fund expenditures by function, as has historically been the case at the district here, about $60 million of this expenditures were related to what we'll call instruction. So think salaries for teachers, that sort of thing, again, making up the largest bulk of expenditures at the district. And then followed right after that by the support services. So other kind of administrative, those types of expenditures here. And then we can see some additional, capital outlay transfers, those things we talked about at the top here, kind of making up a much smaller portion of what expenditures were for the year.
So all the teachers are put into one category and all the other employees are put in the other category. Is that how it works? Is that what I'm looking at?
It's the instruction category is essentially what are the direct services to providing the education to the students.
Okay.
The kind of hands-on instruction costs.
Okay.
And then from there, it gets broken out into some of the support services, which are kind of some of the back office functions, the operations of the facility, the business office, the superintendent's office, all of those types of costs are kind of in these other categories.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so if we look here at slide 16, this kind of breaks out the general fund fund balance composition. And I mean, we're auditors, but sometimes it is easier to look at things a little bit graphically or visually. So what this is really doing, if we look at the right-hand side table, just taking sort of total revenues, expenditures, those other financing sources and uses, that gets us to that ending. What was the net change in the fund balance that Adam and John kind of mentioned at the top, decreasing by that $6.7 million this year. So when we look at the overall composition, that pie chart on the right here, the district there's different kind of categories or buckets we can think about when we think about what the fund balance is. So the district did have some non-spendable fund balance shaded there in blue. So think things like inventory, prepaids, those kind of things are set aside. You've already kind of got that allocated for what it's going to be spent for. But when we look at the largest portion here in this maroon, we're talking about committed fund balance. So at the district, I think the largest three portions that kind of make up this committed fund balance are related to future PSER rate increases that the district has set monies aside for. increases in health insurance, which is a big piece of things, and then also subsequent year budget. Those are kind of the three main components that are making up a lot of what this $14 million is. And then just looking kind of like John mentioned in the financial statements for the budget schedule, if we did take a look, it's footnote 14, but it's on page 51, page 52 of that audit report. It does really detail and break out what are the different categories in each bucket that the district has committed things for that comprise that 14.
And one thing to keep in mind as it relates to the committed fund balance is the board can commit the fund balance, the board can uncommit them. So this is purely something that internally here the district has decided to do. There's no state, piece to it. There's no federal piece to it. It's just what this board has decided at one point in time to set aside for those specific purposes. And you can change your mind on that and undo it at some future point. One thing
I
we've
wish.
seen in that committed fund balance category for, I think we have a slide on this, but a lot of schools is the employer contribution rate for your retirement plan kind of kept going up historically.
Mhm.
A lot of schools put money aside, significant dollars aside for these future PSERS rate increases. And as high as those rates are now in the 32-33%,
Mhm.
they seem to have plateaued.
Yeah.
So, do you need to commit so much for future retirement increases when it's already kind of built into your budget?
So you think we're putting too much money, in your opinion, we're putting too much money into that fund because it's basically plateaued and we could take some of that money out and put it somewhere else? Is that,
I would think so.
so how do we know how much more that we're putting in versus what we could be taking out? I mean, how much do we actually need, I should say? Or I'll ask during a finance committee meeting, I guess.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to commit anything. I
Okay.
think that's just where the district steps back and says, we have significant capital projects coming up, or we have significant technology needs, or we want to kind of earmark these dollars for some specific purpose.
Okay,
So it's purely what this school board thinks you should set aside.
and what do we call that fund again?
Committed,
Just committed,
just,
just not anything committed, just committed. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if we take a look at slide 17, then just a little bit kind of putting into context where the district is at in terms of what the general fund balance is. So there's a few different recommendations or benchmarks that we can look at here. On the right-hand side is sort of how we're getting at our calculations. But first we have the GFOA recommendation, which is a 2-month kind of operating expense benchmark. So when we look ahead at what the general fund expenditure budget is for 25-26, about 2 months of that would be about almost about $15.5 million. And then we can also look at the Pennsylvania Department of Education and what we'll call the PDE Act 1 index, so that kind of 8% cap number. You'll see that's kind of the second bucket here. And if we compare that to the benchmark and then to what Keystone had as of June 30, 2025, you're just not quite there at that benchmark number, just a little bit short of that. But that's kind of where we would look to external kind of guidelines in terms of where the district is sitting at with that balance.
So what do you want us to get up to?
So there's a couple of pieces there. So the PDE Act 1
Yeah.
index is 8% of your budget. If your unassigned fund balance exceeds that, then you're really limited on what you can potentially do with real estate taxes. And PD could look at it and say, hey, you've got too much that you're kind of is sitting there in the unassigned.
Sure.
You're not in that bucket right now. Actually, so that 8% mark would be about $7.4 million.
Oh, so we're below. Okay.
At June 30, 2025, your unassigned fund balance was a negative $216,000.
How is that possible?
So as the board has made commitments over the years, the commitments currently exceed the amount of your total fund balance.
So we're in the whole 3 million?
No, you're in the hole about 200,000
Oh, 200,000.
Yeah.
Oh, I misunderstood. Oh,
from an unassigned fund balance standpoint.
Oh, that's okay.
And
That's-
an unassigned really means it's kind of what's available for general operating
Mhm.
purposes. It's there. That's one of those where, as John was saying, looking at some of the committed fund balances, you can say, hey, I think you've got currently $5 million earmarked for that PSERS
Sure.
rate increases. that's an area you could look at and say,
We don't
5
need
million
that
maybe
much.
isn't the right number anymore.
I-
Maybe it should be 2.
Got it.
That difference would fall to that unassigned.
Perfect.
You'd want to be careful, again, as you're kind of working through things, you want to be careful to make sure that you're not exceeding that 8%.
Of course.
Which I know the business office is well aware of, and they're
Yep.
monitoring that regularly.
Yep.
The second piece
Great.
is this Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, has a recommendation that organizations should have 2 months of a typical operating budget on hand. And that's really there's a couple of reasons for that. One is to help you weather a rainy day.
Mhm.
So if we think back over the last 6 months, what are the rainy days?
Balanced
Well,
budget.
you haven't had we didn't have a state budget for over 100 days.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
weren't getting money from the state government.
Yep.
Federal government was shut down for 45-ish days. So there's money coming through from them was limited. Which really meant you had to rely on your local real estate taxes coming in to continue operations. Having a fund balance gives you the time, buys you opportunity where you don't have to make a knee-jerk reaction and go out and say, hey, we're out of money. We can't make payroll. We've got to do an emergency borrowing that costs money to continue to fund operations until the state budget gets passed. What fund balance should be is always a moving target. It's not the end of the world to dip into it from time to time. The key thought there would be you need to have some level of a fund balance, not only to buy you time when rainy days hit, but as John mentioned, there's $43 million of debt that Keystone has issued that's out in the market. There are rating agencies that are looking at that debt and providing a bond rating. The better your bond rating, the lower your future interest rates will be.
Yeah.
So it costs you less money to borrow. That changes as rating agencies see fund balance kind of deteriorating on a continual basis. That weighs into the rating that they will provide. Again, it's okay to dip into it from time to time. The key is to look at it and say, okay, we're going to intentionally look at it. We're intentionally going to dip into it. Here's our plan to replenish it over time into the future. And that's really, I'd say, where the district is at right now. Is you had 2025 you had more going out than coming in from an expense standpoint. What's the kind of future go forward? Again, a lot of that was Liberty Curtain. That's a one-time project. As you move forward, we would not expect that you continually have $3.8 million moving into capital on an annual basis. But what's that plan to kind of move forward and replenish it over time?
Thank you.
Okay, so if we look at slide 18, I mean, I think this really just kind of graphically presents where the district has been and has been trending. And like we mentioned, just kind of dipping slightly below that GFOA benchmark of that red line trending for this year, but sometimes just helpful to kind of see that in context as where things have been for the last few years. Okay, and then if we look at slide 19, we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of those larger liabilities, the long-term liabilities that are on the financial statement. So first talking a little bit about the district's PSERS pension contributions. So if we look, those were about $10 million this year. So they did decrease from 2024, looking at that 33.42% kind of contribution rate for the year. But it is important, and we kind of have that noted here at the bottom of the slide, that the employer share of the contributions is subsidized 50% by the state. So that's kind of where we're getting this information here from.
Sorry.
Sorry. So I'm so sorry. The number that you're showing us is prior to being subsidized, or should we take that number and just take?
Your cost is 50% of it. That is your total, that $10.2 million is the total contribution before the state subsidy.
Oh, okay. So we're only spending 50% of that.
Correct. You get
Okay.
about a 50%. It's not exactly 50%. It's about 50% reimbursement
enough.
from the state for that.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, you look at these numbers, 2021, 32.31%, 35%, 35%, 33, they're pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to look back 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, they would be in the single digits.
Yeah, I remember.
There was a time when the PSERS pension fund was fully funded
Mhm.
and the rates were next to nothing, but it's just,
Yep.
I don't know, over these past 10 years, it really accelerated to a point where, it's a huge piece of your budget now.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
And then I guess exactly kind of to John's point, the next slide here just looks at what the future PSERS pension contributions would be, or what we kind of anticipate they would be based on kind of a 3-year covered employee payroll. So if we're looking at, again, you can see that third column in here, estimated district covered payroll, and we're looking at contribution rates kind of just increasing in that 30% range, and what we would anticipate the estimated contributions to be over the next few years.
Yeah, all of the bottom stuff here is a pure estimate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Assuming that everything stays the same from an employee complement, that wages increase a flat 3% every year. It's just to give you an idea of, okay, based on the published rates, all things being the same, what kind of does that look like? We've also seen over the last couple of years that the projected future rates every year get adjusted a little bit, and usually they're adjusted down a little bit. So it's all of it is just a kind of an informational kind of estimate of what future may hold.
Sure.
Okay, so just kind of shifting slightly here, this next slide just looks at what the district itself, what their proportionate share of the PSERS net pension, and then also the OPEB and district OPEB liability would be. We kind of have that in 3 different buckets here. So really fairly consistent from where things have been last year. The shifting kind of did break out differently across these different liabilities, but overall in total, not too much of a change for the total liability compared to where things were last year. Okay, and then if we kind of move on just to slide 22, we'll just talk really high level. Adam had mentioned that single audit, the compliance portion of the audit. So uniform guidance compliance. Again, if we look back to the audit report on page 65 and 66, that kind of has that CFA, the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So just over $6.5 million for the district for June 30, 2025. Again, we didn't note any findings related to major compliance programs or major federal programs that we audited this year. And this year for 2025, the major program we kind of looked a little bit more in depth at and audited as a major program was the child nutrition cluster. So kind of school lunches, food service, that was kind of our primary focus for the audit for this year.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground. Hopefully it made sense. I can only imagine kind of being here new and saying, it probably feels a little bit like you're drinking from a fire hose. I think to summarize it, 2025, while the general fund, you had some mixed budgetary results. There's reasons behind it. It makes sense. It's logical. A lot of it, some of it was one-time type things that, again, we would not necessarily expect to continue on a go-forward basis.
When you think about the money that was spent, the transfer out of the general fund to capital projects to fund the Liberty Curtain project, there's a physical asset there that will last you 30 years into the future. It's not like that money was out the window, so to speak. But it went from a different type of asset from cash to facility.
Yeah, and again, I think the key takeaway, a user of your financial statements would look at the audit report and say, it's an unmodified opinion on financial statements, unmodified opinion on compliance, no findings. Yeah, general fund, you didn't have a great year, but you've still got a decent sized fund balance there to continue into. As I mentioned, I think the key is on a go forward basis to continue to look at how can we replenish that fund balance to maintain that rainy day, that stable financial position of the district. And we know it's difficult. There's a lot of different competing factors that go into that. But that is something that we would definitely recommend is to be mindful of that you wouldn't want to jeopardize your bond rating and have the interest rates rise and create those other issues that go with that.
So this document here that we've been talking about is the single audit report. This is the one that will go to the federal government, the state, to the bond holders and so forth. So this is an external, anyone can view this. It's public information. In this separate auditor's results document, there's real specific recommendations for Keystone Central that is for the board, for management. It's not something that's sent on to the state or the Fed sewer. But we would encourage you to read this. I think there's some really good insights and suggestions.
That's not on board docs, right? That one isn't on board docs either?
It's not right now.
I'll send it. I'll upload it and send it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I do read those actually. They're easy to read. You do a good job.
So we appreciate, I guess, are there any questions that we haven't addressed or?
Our
Back.
telephone I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, our telephone numbers and email addresses are in the slides there, so if there's anything that comes up somewhere down the line and you wanna talk to us, just give us a call or send us an email. We'd be glad to come back to a work session or,
I remember, and I don't remember what year it was, either 23 or 24. You folks had talked to us about, security protocols and things like that. Have those security protocols and things that you guys have discussed, have they been dealt with and are they in process? For like this $881,000 ordeal we went through, are the protocols in place to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I think that's a great question, and I, just some history, looking back, it was 2019 when we had issued some recommendations about what I'll call cybersecurity. And
Okay,
there was specific information in that letter that spoke to what they refer to as vendor impersonation, where some bad actor
Mhm.
pretends to be a vendor and emails the
Right.
district and says, you know, I'm so-and-so retired. I'm the new contact, our banking information has changed, please send payment to. It really comes down to training the people in that role, accounts payable, who will be the point of contact. And governments are uniquely susceptible to that sort of thing because everything you do, you know, is out there in your minutes.
Right.
Contracts you award, the vendors you're dealing with. So every government is susceptible to this. And it really comes down to making sure that the people in that role, accounts payable, or who might be making changes to vendor information, understand that this sort of thing can happen. And every time Keystone was not alone with that,
right.
that we've seen that more and more, unfortunately. But I think the key is to make sure that the people in those positions are trained. When that happened, we shared that 2019 document again with Joni and her team, and I think she was in the process of already implementing some of those things. So as it relates to that vendor impersonation concept, we feel that the policies are in place now and procedures, but the IT folks, the cybersecurity folks that I've spoken with, the folks within our firm that do that work, they all say the same thing. It's not a matter of if you're going to be hit with one of those things, it's just a matter of time.
Of when.
So
It's a matter of time, and are the individuals that are getting those trained enough to be able to potentially spot them?
Yeah.
And the schemes that are out there continue to get more complex, more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to get ahead of those bad actors. But as John said, from what we've seen, Joni has been working to implement and strengthen those procedures in place to try to identify and stop those on the front end, rather than having them slip through and then
Right.
finding them on the back end.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good.
we probably took more of your time than you would have preferred tonight, but we appreciate your time.
That's much better than last year. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If there's anything further, send us an email and give us a call and be happy to talk at that point.
Okay, safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next item up, C3, is she coming in March? Oh, I'm so sorry. C2, comprehensive plan. Hi, Megan.
We're passing it around here.
I made
She
one
just-
paper
Oh.
copy because I figured paper copies are sometimes.
It's on
nice.
it's online.
I know, but
But that was sweet of you. Thank you.
Sometimes it's nice just to have a one pager. So I'm by myself tonight because Mr. Lynch is under the weather. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our comprehensive plan process that is very similar and mirrors the CTE comprehensive plan process. So there's a few documents attached to board docs tonight. There is a 30-some page district comprehensive plan document, career and technical education comprehensive plan document, as well as the graphic that you see up on the screen. So the district comprehensive plan process is a state mandated process to happen every 3 years. We are in the current cycle that this plan will take us from 2026 to 2029. And the purpose of the plan, the state sets out a pretty formulaic way to look at how to set up your sort of academic goals for continuous school improvement. And so the state puts forth a very specific template that you have to follow. And that's really what that document is that is attached to board docs. It is the state provided template. We have very little wiggle room within the comprehensive plan in terms of what it actually looks like and sort of where it directs us to. But the premise of the entire plan is that you look at your future ready data and you identify your strengths and your areas of need, and you then make a plan for that based on your strengths and areas of growth. So we devised a committee, and the committee members are identified on the first few pages of both documents. We had a pretty extensive committee full of parents, some board members, some community members, teachers, support staff, administrators, that helped us sort of sift through some of the data, some of the things that we're doing really well, and some of the things that we have yet to work on, and establish some priorities moving forward. So you can see in both the CTE document and the district document who those committee members were. We started to meet in October, and we had 5 or 6 meetings throughout the time between October and just this past Monday to develop the plan together. When you look at the 30-some page document, pages 10 through 20 is where the team really looked to analyze our strengths and areas of growth moving forward. So again, the state really walks you through this process of how to analyze your future ready data to identify those areas. So the team identified our strengths and our areas of growth. And starting on page 29 of the documents, you can see the goals that we landed on based on what we are currently doing well and what we want to improve on moving forward. And so starting on page 29 of those documents, as well as in the graphic up on the screen and that you have in front of you, we landed on 3 major goals for the comprehensive plan. The very first goal is to implement the career pathway program at our high school. We have talked a little bit about that in the past. And as Kat alluded to earlier in her presentation, the career pathways model is really meant to give students the most amount of options in their high school career for taking coursework that's relevant to their future goals. So our motivation in creating that program was to make sure that the coursework we're offering is aligned to what students want to do after they are graduates of Keystone Central. So the part of the career pathways model too is about providing students the most choice that we can. And hopefully that also helps with the cyber retention conversation that we have ongoing, right? Creating opportunities for kids to feel like what they're doing here is really valuable and hopefully prevent students from leaving at all or bringing some students back who may have already left. So that career pathways goal is really about improving our college and career indicators on the PA Future Ready. That's already a strength of ours. We're already above the state goal in that area, but we obviously want to maintain being above the state average. We are proud to be above the state average and we want to stay there. So that first goal is all about career pathways. When we move into that second goal, This one is all about the climate and culture of our school buildings. So we know that climate and culture is an incredibly important part of student learning, that if students don't feel safe and valued and feel like they belong in our buildings, then our academic outcomes aren't going to be what we want them to be. It's a really important part of what we do. So the second goal that we have is to use our multi-tiered systems of support for behavior to reduce our major behavioral referrals by 10% over the next 3 years. And those major referrals are big things. They're not things like students weren't prepared for class or something like that. They're major things that disrupt education when they happen. And so we obviously have a goal that we want to reduce as many disruptions in the classroom and in our school environments as possible so that learning can happen. So that 10% reduction is the goal of the behavioral component in that second goal. And then the third goal is obviously surrounding academics. So for English language arts and math, we want to use our multi-tiered systems of support to lead to a 10% increase in our student growth percentiles. So we've talked a lot over the last few years about sort of the difference between achievement and growth within our students for academic outcomes. We put a lot of value in making sure that our students are growing, because that's really important to make sure that no matter where students are in the continuum of their learning, that they are progressing towards the end goal. So we are aiming to see that 10% growth in the median student growth percentile. So again, we get to that by using our multi-tiered systems of support, making sure that all students have access to really good quality instruction, and then providing the additional supports for kiddos who don't have that yet. So that academic goal is for English language arts as well as math, because those are the two things that are measured in the Future Ready. There are a lot of things that in the Future Ready, that the Future Ready report, and that is linked later in the presentation or in the board agenda as well, that are strengths. So we tried to build off of our strengths with our career readiness or graduation rates. And then we tried to focus on the things that we know we want to improve. We want to improve climate and culture, and we want to improve academic outcomes. The other component of that as well is, it's not in here, but it's kind of wrapped in that climate and culture, is our attendance data. We want to continually improve our attendance components, because it's hard for students to learn if they're not here.
Right.
And there's a lot of barriers to attendance that we try to tackle systemically, but it's a continual focus for us. In the CTE front, the CTE comprehensive plan is also attached. I did speak with Mr. Lynch since he couldn't be here, but the biggest component of his comprehensive plan is to improve attendance. That's really the marker in his Future Ready scores that are aiming to improve. So the Pathways model is also a part of his comprehensive plan, because they tie together nicely. And again, the thought is if kids can be engaged in learning about what they want to be learning about, they're more likely to be here. They're more likely to show up if there's something that there's worth showing up for. So that model kind of crosses both between the district and the CTE to hopefully increase student attendance for CTE. Questions? Yes.
Thanks. I missed 2 of the meetings, but I did really enjoy it. One thing I did learn going to the meetings, and this is something maybe the curriculum committee wants to look at or not look at in the future, is one of the teachers, I believe, or maybe it was the principal, that when they said, I like math, okay? I want to see an increase in credits for math. I'm sorry, but that's me. And I want to see a decrease in English language. Well, the comment then in the room was, well, if the kids can't read, they're not going to get math. So that was a good learning experience for me, that our kids need to learn how to read before they can do the math. And I never thought of it that way. So that was really, really insightful.
Yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately, a lot of math assessments are reading assessments, right? If there's
Sure,
word problems that they can't break them apart to understand what the math problem is that they're even asking, it's definitely a barrier. So when we see reading scores increase, we see math scores increase as well.
Right, so I'm really curious to see what the curriculum committee or what your plan is for the reading. That's a big one.
Any other questions?
How do we handle a situation? I've had some teachers that talk to me about they have to do this level of math or whatever, but the kid is not up to that speed yet. And they can't go backwards because they have to stay with your timeline or whoever's it is. Why are we pushing the teachers so hard that they can't get these kids to comprehend it, as some of them are a little slower than others and don't comprehend as quickly? What are we doing about that?
Yeah, so that's where that sort of multi-tiered systems of support comes into play. So in a perfect system, about 80% of students will sort of grasp a concept the first time they're taught or through just regular instruction, right? The teacher's moving on at a regular pace, and about 80% of kids are gonna be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have about 10% of kids who need a little bit extra, right? And that extra might mean I need a little bit more time with my teacher. I need just a little bit more time, right? Because I just need it explained a few different ways. We call that like a tier 2 support. And then there's about 5% of kids who need intensive amounts of support to be able to eventually understand it. And so our goal, sort of in general curriculum, is that about 80% of kids are kind of marching along where they need to be. We're always going to have those kids who need the extra support. So we have systems in place. We have interventions in place. At the elementary level, well, actually district-wide, we have a what I need time, we call it a win time, where kids receive supplemental support if they need it to help them reach that end goal. Sometimes, unfortunately, in this sort of state of importance on the state assessment, right? The PSSAs, the Keystone exams, sometimes that feels like pressure, right? To keep teaching so that we get through this content so that kids have it before the PSSA. And those are always conversations we have with teachers too, right? Of how much to push through just to push through, but making sure kids understand it. Are about 80% of kids understanding it? Because then we can provide the supplemental support to the others. We have structures to do that.
That's what I was going to say. What can we do to lighten the load a little bit so the teachers can have a little more time? Because I'm going to be very honest. I was told not long ago, and I've said this to you already, a couple teachers told me that they went to school to learn to teach, to work with kids and do all that. And now they have to be, what do I have wrote down here? Sumo wrestlers, referees, multiple other things, because so much is being pushed down the ladder onto them, and it takes up so much of their time that they can't deal with it. I've actually been asked to bring some stuff to the board, and I'm going to, on how to lighten that load so the teachers can spend more time teaching versus pushing paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also goes to the second goal there about behavior. Because when behavioral issues are coming up in the moment, you have to address the behavioral issue, right? If that behavior is happening and other kids can't learn, we have to address the behavior in the moment. Well, that takes time, and that takes attention away from, right, just being able to teach.
Well, that's where they should be able to just have somebody come in down to them instantly, remove that child or student.
Yeah, and that does happen when there's a, pretty severe situation, but sometimes it's just little tiny behaviors that are distracting, but not necessarily to the extent that I need to call an administrator. So those classroom sort of cultural things, the more we improve that, the more you get time to just teach. And I think we all agree with you. The end goal is to give teachers the best opportunity just to teach,
'Cause the
right? To do
teachers
what
need
they
more-
love to do.
The teachers need more time to teach and work with those students that aren't in the 80%
Yep.
versus doing 100 other things.
Yes.
And that's, you and I could talk about that, but
Yeah,
I'm
we
getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, we definitely, fundamentally, we 100% agree. I think some of that it's cultural, it's societal, and we're combating a lot of things in classrooms that are being brought into schools that are a reflection of society, and some of the things that we have to address are little, and some of the things that we have to address are large. And I think every person in our school system works really hard to meet the needs of students, whether it's academic or behavioral, or our counselors work really hard to make sure that every student is getting what they need so eventually they can focus just on learning. That's why we're here, but often we can't get there until we get through the other stuff.
I have a quick question. In your opinion, do you think some of these teachers or all the teachers, are they getting the adequate help they need with these behavioral issues that are going on in classrooms? And with that question, I'm going to ask, are these things being properly documented when things happen? Because if they're not on paper, they never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a documentation system that we call SWIS, and it tracks every little thing from, a student, had a very minor incident to a major incident. We use that mostly for documentation, just to say, like, listen, at this point, Justin's had 10 referrals in the system. It's time to look at additional measures that need to go in place. So anything from something very small to something major, teachers document. And sometimes that is extra work on their part, but it does mean that we're able to look at the data to say, here's the trends that we're seeing within students and within the whole school. And in terms of our teachers trained, that's an ongoing focus of professional learning, because the dynamics of behavior are also sort of constantly evolving. What students need, how students respond. Individual students respond differently to different approaches. So we are constantly providing professional learning on different strategies, but that also mostly goes to those who are supporting the neediest behaviors, right? Our school counselors are supporting those neediest behaviors often, as well as our administrators. We try to keep our classroom teachers protected in the sense that, like, you're dealing with minor behavior issues only. Once it gets to something that's a little bit just more than minor, then that's dealt with somebody who has more training and more expertise. We want our teachers just to teach.
Are these students being addressed with behaviors individually, or is it something that's being addressed kind of in a group effort to create more welcoming environment for everybody?
I think it's a combination of both. I don't know. Really chime in. I think our building principals would be the best ones to speak to that. We do have common expectations through our PBIS, which is positive behavior support systems, but we have common expectations. So sometimes when we see an uptick in, maybe there's a lot of behavioral issues happening in the cafeteria, we're going to do a general reset on the expectations in the cafeteria for all. Let's make sure we're all on the same page and remembering what our expectations are in the cafeteria. But by all means, if there's a major incident in the cafeteria with one student, that's one-on-one. But often it is a reminder that let's just do a general refresh. And we do those general refreshes too when we come back from major breaks or there's any sort of disruption, right? Let's make sure that we are all remembering those expectations. And at the February curricular co-curricular meeting, we are planning on doing a behavior specific presentation on our behavior data, like we talked about last month. So I think that's where you'll see some of the specifics that you're probably looking for. And we can talk further about what that data shows us and what we do with that data.
As the teachers are dealing with the 80% that's grasping, and the other 20%, does this school offer learning support classes? They do have it?
Yep. We have lots of, we have within our special education department, we have learning supports for students K-12. Sometimes that means that students are pulled out for supplemental support. And sometimes that means the learning support teacher goes into the classroom and supports them within the classroom. And sometimes it's both.
Good.
First of all, thank you. Her full presentation is on YouTube for your curriculum committee. So if you want to dive really deep into it, it's really good.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt for just a
Oh,
second? So the thing was on YouTube was specifically about the data, which is later on in the agenda. So this is just the comprehensive plan.
Oh, we've got another one.
Yes, ma'am.
It's under just the informational items, right?
Yeah,
Like
yes.
it's under each one.
Oh, okay, okay.
I mean, but they're related. They're
The
interconnected.
future ready updates is what we talked about in the curriculum committee, and that's the one that we have the recording on YouTube.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, thank you.
And just for next steps for the comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan has to be available for the public for 28 days to review and send any feedback. So we'll have an avenue on the website for people to provide feedback on the comprehensive plan. And obviously, we'll take that feedback, any that we receive, into consideration before we submit the plan to the state, which we have to submit by the 31st of March. And then as soon as it's approved by the state, that is officially our comprehensive plan for the next 3 years. And we do report progress on that annually.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Megan. The next one, C3, the Keystone Central Foundation. Now, she asked to be,
Next.
yep. So there was a conflict in the meeting time. She will join us next month. Presentation, another one, C4. The preliminary general fund budget for 2026, 2027 by the business manager, Joni McIntyre. Hi, Joni.
How are you?
Another presentation.
Yes.
This will be lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you can go ahead to the next slide, which will be the budget timeline. The dates, the March, April, May, June, and dates of when you will see the preliminary budget, the proposed budget, and then finally on June 18th to approve the final budget. So the next slide shows you where we ended 7/1 of 25. And this coincides with the audit that you just saw. The ending balance was that 14,276,000. So it coincides exactly with what the auditors had said the general fund balance was. And then we did talk about, I think he high leveled, but talked about the different buckets. And he did, and they did reference the PSERS, that 4.9 PSERS. And I do think, as I discussed with them prior, I do think we'll discuss it at the finance meeting.
Great.
And then you can bring it to the board for whether to
Recommendation.
uncommit how much all, and we can discuss that during the finance meeting.
Good idea. Thank you.
So the next slide gives you, and I do want to preface all of this with saying, this budget is very, very preliminary. This is without any possible changes that we are still considering. So I just want to preface it with, this is first go at it. And, yeah, we're coming in, it's got a lot of work to be done to it as well, but just know it's very preliminary. So this is with the financial picture would look like with no tax increase. We do have an Act 1 index of 3.5% this year. And so on this slide, I just want to focus first on the expenses. So the first column is our current year, 25, 26. The next year is what we're projecting, the 26, 27 year. So I want to talk about kind of what that increase in expenses is from 25, 26 to 26, 27. And again, we have not identified any possible changes yet that we are being considered, which would be like the staffing study. Also attrition. And I did also want to add that technology, curriculum, and property services for capital projects, they are collaborating to come up with a 10-year plan. The goal there is to initiate evening out all of the larger expenses so that not all the large expenses hit all at one time. Technology and curriculum want to kind of even that out from year to year. So they are collaborating to come up with a 10-year plan to help with budget spikes. I do want to note that there was a decrease from last year to this year in all the building budgets. They actually decreased their budget 8.84%. It was $45,000. You figure the building budgets as a whole last year were $507,000. This year, they reduced it to $462,000. So we're pretty happy that they came in with almost 9% lower. There is an increase in the curriculum, tech, and property services budgets. Some of those are not discretionary expenses. Electricity, water, sewer, those are not discretionary expenses. They are what they are per the contracts that we went out and sought. Also, from year to year, there is part of the collective bargaining agreements there's typically an increase of about 3%. That equates to about $1 million. Then you also have the benefits piece of that. And the medical, we are on trend to probably be about 10% again this year. And you're looking at, that would be about a $1.3 million increase. The rest of the PSERS, Social Security will probably increase about 4%. Also, we are looking at the trends for cyber, charter, and the brick and mortar at Sugar Valley Charter School. They are trending upward, about 1,000,000% for Sugar Valley Charter School. So that's about 12%.
Yeah, I think I heard you say 1,000,000%. I don't think that's what you
Oh, I'm sorry,
saying.
$1 million. I'm sorry. I apologize. I
I was
apologize. $1
just
million.
getting ready to ask about it.
My
It's the
apologies.
new math, the new math.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. About 12.5%, about around $1 million. What I want to say is that the last year's proposal for this year has helped with the brick and mortar cyber schools and with the virtual cyber schools. We were allowed to reduce using facilities and student activities like 60%. So that helped with the reduction of that. And I haven't done all of the math, but I'm estimating we'll save about $375,000 from the virtual and the brick and mortar cybers. That does not include Sugar Valley Charter School. That rate continued to be the same. The governor is proposing for next year to possibly increase that from 60% to 80%, which will also help us reduce even more expenses because you use budgeted expense numbers. So when we use these numbers, we take that into account. The higher your budget is, the higher the tuition rate's going to be. So we want to try to get those numbers, in control. I would like to personally see some reform for brick and mortar charter schools. I think there needs to be some kind of formula change there.
With the Sugar Valley Charter School, don't you get so much money in from the state per student over there?
No, we pay out a portion of our tuition, or a portion of our subsidy gets paid. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think the way I remember the first time the money follows the student. So when the state money comes in, you can explain as much better than I can how the.
So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
the district has a financial responsibility for all children that are school age that live within the boundaries of the school district. If they choose to go to Sugar Valley Charter School, then there's a formula that we use to take some of the money that we are apportioned from the state and the local taxes that we bring in. And that is through the formula, it's a per student allocation that we pay Sugar Valley Charter School.
Correct.
Similarly, we have that same kind of calculation that we have to do if students attend a cyber charter school. There's been some significant debate over the years as to whether or not that formula reflects actual costs on the school district side versus the charter school side. I think there's a lot of criticism going around about how that formula has been put together, and that the cyber charter costs and the brick and mortar charter costs are often less than what that apportionment is. Again, it's kind of an ongoing debate at the state level.
And then there is just the increase for inflation, which is somewhere between 2.4 and 2.7%. Also included in the budget are, which weren't included last year, are teacher stipends. We have budgeted about $300,000, but we get directly reimbursed for those, but it has to be shown going in and coming out. There's also a slight increase for the bond payments this year, but not too drastic from last year. So those are where your budget increase numbers are from last year going into next year. So I just wanted to explain that that's where the expense is.
What are some of the things that you feel we could change to bring these the expenses and stuff down? Where can we cut without hurting the students? Where can we start cutting that we could change these numbers down a little bit?
Well, I think that's where the staffing study will come in. And I think that, part of that is through attrition. And there's a staffing study team that has been collaborating and meeting to help look for those possible changes.
But I don't think we can totally bank on a staffing study to be the only thing that is going to get us out. There's got to be other areas we can cut things that are just unnecessary.
Correct. And we are looking at, so there's a very, transportation is a great example. We have to charge transportation.
Right.
We have to pay transportation. We do get subsidized for it. Also maintenance. There's maintenance, there's electricity, there's just a lot of this. A pretty good portion of this budget is not discretionary, and that's what makes it hard. The discretionary parts are wages and benefits, technology, curriculum. Those are discretionary funds. And when I even say wages and benefits, we are tied to the collective bargaining agreement. So even those can't be really discretionary.
Well, kind of what I'm curious about is like, if you look at even this month's bills for payment, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and stuff at Amazon that just makes me boggle my head.
That's through the curriculum budget. That's through the building
Well, a
budgets
lot
and
of
the
that
curriculum
stuff I
budget.
think could be reduced. I mean, we have women's and men's Crocs shoes that we're buying.
That's probably part of a settlement agreement. That's probably
Okay.
through special ed. That's probably part of
And we're buying, there's multiple entries here for, Carhartt men's jackets and coveralls and all that. I think a lot of that stuff that I see on Amazon buying crackers and goodies and candy could just be, boom, we're not doing it. If we have to do that, we can run down the street and buy it from the local people that are paying the taxes to support us. There has to be, somebody has to say, boom, we're done with that.
Help me out. Who's the chair of the finance committee?
I am now.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And this is gonna come up in
Well,
finance.
what I'm
committee.
saying is, yeah, whatever you want to put on your agenda for your finance committee meeting, I'd like
Plan
to,
on it,
so that would be a great place and all those,
but I just wanna ask Joni, what can we do to get this down?
And I actually have it on the finance agenda. We'll do a deeper dive into the building budgets and the department budgets.
Okay, thank you.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Cause
Joni.
I have a list for all that too.
Okay.
You and I'll be going over that.
Okay.
Would this be incredibly rude if we just try to shorten this up a little bit, because I realize this is preliminary and it is important, but we can read it and it's, I'd like to see what the finance committee comes out with. But go ahead, Joni, please.
Okay. And we can do that. So we can go ahead and flip to the next, well, stay here for a second. So I want to just point out the revenues. The revenues have increased about $1.8 million from last year to this year. Or I'm sorry, from this year to next year. Some of that is your local EIT. That's just a normal trend of the increase in your salaries. Some of it, I also did want to point out, we do have the proposed state numbers for next year.
Yeah.
And we are slated to get $774,000. Last year, we received $801,000, so we're actually getting a decrease of 3.3% from the state
Great.
from this year to next year. So I just wanted to point out, we are receiving $775,000 from increase from the state. I do see an increase in federal funds, not because of title, but because of access. We are actually allowed to use access funds for services like physical therapy, interpreters and so forth. So we are allowed to claim those and receive access funds for those. It's actually pretty good. We could get an upwards of $350,000 for that. So we're excited to actually use that for the access funds.
Joni, I'm sorry. Will that be reimbursable or is that upfront?
It's reimbursable.
It is? Yeah, okay. That's what that, yep.
Reimbursable.
Go ahead.
Yes. So we can go through these slides. So this is your no tax increase slide. Your next slide is if there were a 0.88% tax increase or millage, which is about a 25%. What that does is that could increase the revenue by about $250,000. What I did was look at the median assessed value, because what's somebody going to ask? What's that impact the taxpayers? For the median assessed value for Clinton County is about $115,000. So the impact of this type of increase will be about $15. So I just wanted to put it in perspective to you because that's what I would ask if I were a taxpayer. So the next slide will show if you assume a 1.75% increase, you could yield almost $500,000. And the impact on the taxpayer would be about $30. And then the next slide shows the option for a 2.63%, which would yield about $740,000. And that would be about a $44 increase in tax or real estate. And then the last slide is your 3.5%, which would yield about $990,000. And that would have a $59 increase in real estate on your real estate bill. So I just wanted to show you the differences in the possible considerations. And then the last slide just kind of sums up what we've already talked about. This is calculations under consideration. Again, we are looking at a staffing study, attrition. We are constantly monitoring healthcare rates, cyber charter increases. We do want to maintain, as you saw from the audit, we want to maintain our fund balance. So we have to, make those considerations. So, any questions?
What if someone come along, I'm just gonna use numbers.
Okay.
Someone comes along and says, you need to cut your budget by 20%. We ain't raising no taxes. Which we need this job study to start. I don't understand why that's taking till March, but
I don't know if Dr. Redmond wants to discuss the staffing study. I know that they are working on.
yeah, in my opinion, I mean, we should know our employees, what our employees are doing, what human resources are doing. To take 3 months, that's just crazy.
Well, Joni, I'm so sorry, John.
I have a
We just
question.
need, oh,
When
sorry.
he's done.
we just need to figure out what we can cut off our budgets. We ain't raising our taxes no more. It's every year, I know things go up. Man, we have so many created positions around here and bloat around here. We can cut something to where we're not raising taxes.
So,
Go ahead, Chris. Oh,
Joni, you said, and you have on here that the charter school increases 12.5%, which is $1 million. What is raising? What's going up?
So we use budgeted numbers
Right?
to determine what the tuition rates will be. So
Okay.
if our budget keeps increasing, the tuition rate's going to keep increasing.
Okay. So they're not calling saying we need this amount of money per kid.
No, it's driven by a formula we use to create that number.
Okay,
Yeah, but it's driven off of budgeted numbers.
all right. Thank you.
Mhm.
I spoke.
So just correct me if I'm wrong. That was one of the biggest issues is because we're losing the students to the charter school. So obviously we're losing that money.
Mhm.
That's the biggest problem then, or one of the biggest issues.
Yes.
Charter school
Okay.
numbers are not going up, they're fixed.
Cyber charter.
The number of students aren't
Yeah,
increasing,
right.
the
Number of
tuition
students are
amount is
fixed.
increasing per
Okay.
student.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, we are capped
Right.
by the amount of student. It's just the tuition rate is increasing.
Yeah,
And
they're
that-
only allowed 475 a year, and they've been at like 472, 473 consistent.
Mhm. So I guess how can we get them back?
Well, that's one of our goals, I hope.
Yeah.
We'll work on our goals. I'm sorry. Thank you, Joni. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks,
It
Joni.
wasn't I know you're working on it. Okay, next. C5.
No, I believe that Dr. Bossis is with us today.
I didn't see him the whole night either.
Okay.
I would love it if we could
I'll reach out to
reschedule
him.
that.
I'll reach out
Thank
to
you
him.
so much. Yes, looks like we might have another conflict, so one less presentation this evening. D1, hearing of visitors? I didn't see. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, E1, superintendent's report. Dr.
My
Redmond,
report is really easy. Kat did a fantastic job of saying all the stuff that I was going to say.
no presentation?
Except I would like to add on, she spoke about the presentation about the Pathways program. And I just want to add on a little bit to that. Our high school staff did a great job of not just with our students who are here in the building, but they also went down to the middle school and talked to the eighth graders who were coming up and went to Lock Haven Christian Academy for those students who are moving into the high school for next year. So we want to make sure that all of the incoming ninth graders have the same information as our current high school students. As Kat mentioned, it was good information. We recorded it so that it can be watched later.
Right.
There was really good participation during the meeting. I wasn't able to go to that because I was in a meeting with you all. But I got lots of reports about how positive it was, good feedback from parents, students. And so I think it was a really good event. Glad we did it. And we're gonna keep finding ways to talk about all the great things that are happening in our schools so that we can not just talk about that here in this, but find ways to record and put out and let the community know all the fabulous things that are happening across our district.
Super terrific, thank you. Committee reports. Curricular, co-curricular committee? Chair?
It's you, bud. Just a brief of what you talked about.
You don't have to read minutes or anything, just maybe a couple, highlight or two from your meeting.
Well, I guess, we kind of talked about the comprehensive plan. I believe that was the one that was on subject there. And, basically kind of just moving forward and trying to set our goals and trying to reach them goals, help the students kind of reach those goals. That way we can just keep moving forward with the kids and their academic achievements with the comprehensive plan. So hoping to keep looking into, more of that and then kind of going into a little bit of that climate culture that we were talking about tonight. So,
You're very passionate about that.
yes.
I think that's something, okay.
If I may, we also had a presentation from Dr. Hayes from the IU, who talked about all of the things that, some of the things that the IU could do to come and maybe give us an outside perspective on a lot of the things that are going on with the school district. And so Dr. Hull and I met with her today to talk a little bit further about that. And we're setting up a short-term goal as well as kind of a long-term plan for
Right.
having a few different versions of an outside look at several different aspects of the operations of the school district, from behavior and the climate and culture of the school district to curriculum to special education, just kind of looking broad scale at in a few different studies to make sure we're being as student focused as we can while also being as efficient as possible.
Yes, thank you, Redmond. Yeah.
Yes, it's recorded. Dr. Hayes's presentation, it was excellent curriculum
Mhm.
committee. Good job. Thank you. F2, facilities, Chair Chris.
Before we get started here, to save us some time, I'm just gonna go blast down through each one.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
We're gonna go over them all, but instead of having to wait for you to call out the next one and that one, I'm just gonna go right down.
Oh,
the
because
line.
you're the chair.
Yes.
Oh, please, yes.
The Facilities
F2, 3, 4.
Committee, we
Yep.
had a really good meeting. We talked about looking over the 10-year plan and maybe lining that out. So like Joni said, we don't get hit with all this big stuff together in 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna kind of go over that and reline that. We talked about some issues that Bald Eagle Township and Mill Hall are both now having with sewer issues, and we're looking into that. Next one down will be Finance Committee. We talked about the beginning of the budget, with the new software. Joni and Christy are working hard to break some things down like we've been asking for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be a lot of tweaking going on, but reports should be getting easier to read and be a little more intensive on where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Personnel Committee, we had quite a chat there. We're held off on some things. We're waiting on the, staffing survey that Dr. Redmond's doing to get done before we move forward with some things. So a lot of things were put on hold. Policy Committee, you can see when we go down through the policies, we had a full agenda on it. And we rocked and rolled through that, and we have a lot of things for first read for tonight. What that is for you new folks is you can glance through them, look at them. If you see something you want changed, bring it up before the voting meeting or at the voting meeting. Other than that, we'll pass it through the first read if you're all good with it. And then it goes on to the next month for a second read. And then once that is done and everybody's good with everything, that policy is put in place. They're all updated. Your turn.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt real quick? One thing on Facilities Committee,
Yeah.
the committee decided to change its meeting time.
Yes, I'm sorry. Christie even sent me a email. We're changing the Facilities Committee meeting from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Well, we started at 6 o'clock in the evening and then we moved it back to
Oh, she had it on the email from 1 to 2, I think.
Yeah, we moved it back to 1.
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
Right, but it was later.
It was at 6.
It was at 6.
it was at 6, yes. We're
moved back to
moving it
1.
back to
Yep.
1 o'clock now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Christine, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Good.
I asked her that, she emailed it to me and I totally forgot about it. All right, your turn, man.
All right.
Safety and security.
All right. Well, because it was, both those committees are my first time ever doing it. So forgive me if I don't cover everything.
No, just highlights.
So, it was a good meeting. You know, a lot of the things coming up with the safety and security is exciting, especially with the new system that we have coming in place. It's going to be, it's definitely going to help with a lot of things. We sat down and talked to our school resource officers and kind of had some feedback with them, and everything seemed pretty positive with that system coming up, which, you know, makes me excited because it's something to keep the kids safe, something to help us, you know, with the atmosphere in school, and hopefully, hopefully something that we can definitely benefit from later on. So, yeah. I don't know, did I miss anything?
That's good. One thing I would like to say is prior years, the Personnel Committee and the Safety and Security were pretty much executive only.
Yeah. Yes.
This year, we are moving forward with those two committees. All our committees are gonna be public,
Except-
but if we have information that has to be executive,
Mhm.
we'll do the public part of a meeting and then we'll go into executive session for the stuff that we're legally supposed to.
Yep, seems to be working out really
That
well.
way, if
Yeah.
anybody wants to ask questions or something,
Mhm.
they can get in on that meeting on the Zoom link and ask questions. That's it.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's,
Very good, very good. Okay, G1, Treasurer's Report. She has Joni McIntyre and her team. If you have any questions, she has put the percentages there, which is very nice. Any questions? Okay, oh, the infamous G2, Financial Reports. Any comments or concerns? Questions? Multi-pages?
No.
Okay. I would just like to make a comment. I know we're working towards it. It was explained, we're working towards it. So we can show, this year's and last year's budgets on the same sheet. So we're still moving towards there. G3, yes, we had a TCC committee meeting. I'm your delegate. And the January 28th. And the major thing was they finally set a date. They made a motion, January 1st, 2026, Berkheimer tax collections will finally be taking over the earned income tax. So that's when the transition will take place. And the next TCC meeting is, as you see, March 31st, 6 p.m. And they're going to be looking at potentially if they're going to be changing or modifying any bylaws and their solicitors. G4, enrollment report. Any questions on the enrollment report? It's very clear. Okay.
And if you guys ever have any questions on that, get a hold of me or one of us will help you walk through that so you can understand it, because that's pretty compelling.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is the number 5, administrative regulations. These are Dr. Redmond administration. They just attached to our policies. So the first 3 numbers are actually the school policy number and the AR means administrative regulations. Do you have anything you'd like to mention about those? We just review them, we don't approve them.
Correct. So the administrative regulations are kind of the operational side of the policy. So the policy sets the guidelines, the administrative regulations often kind of get into the weeds of how we implement the policy. And similar to the difference between what a board does and what a superintendent and our team does, you all have the governance side of things. I have the operational side, not I, my team and I have the operational side of things. So this just helps us take the policy that is the governance side and turn that into how we go about making sure it gets done.
But the two have to intertwine together.
Yeah, they talk to each other, right? The
Yeah.
ARs are derived from, and much like with the policies, we see an initial draft from PSBA, the State Board Association, and then we modify and adjust it to make it fit our context.
And from now on, your ARs will be attached to the policies, so you can see them both at the same time without hunting all over for them.
Correct. So
Okay.
if you go onto board docs and you look up a particular policy, for instance, board policy 105, once you scroll down to the bottom of policy 105, you'll see the attachment AR0 and any
Right.
other ARs associated with it right there on the bottom of that page.
That's good.
We're getting there.
Christine, sorry to put you through all that,
No
but
worries.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, wonderful. H1, future ready updates summary report.
So if I may, this is so Dr. Hull did a presentation in the co-curricular meeting, and that's what you referenced earlier today, Elizabeth, that recording is online, but of course, Dr. Hull is here to speak to anything that the board may have questions about, or if you just want to review the presentation that was done co-curricular and curricular, and of course, the presentation is there attached to this
Great.
agenda item.
It's really very easy to read. Very good job. Okay,
If there are questions at a later date,
email. Yep. That's one thing nice. Her presentations are usually understand them very quickly. Thank you. H2, the King's Prize attorney, has he gotten back yet with a contract or anything, or did they,
Yeah.
it's all taken care of? Oh, wonderful. We'll see it next week. Okay.
But if,
Oh,
I think
sorry.
there's a little bit more to that. So we currently do have
An
a
accountant.
contract with King's Pry in that we use their services and we pay them an hourly amount.
Yes.
And so the response that we got back from the attorney, I don't remember the details, so maybe you can review that again. He said that it would be 3 hours of prep work and 1 hour presentation.
Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's right. So estimated cost to the district of $975
Okay.
at so that's the 5 hours total at a rate of $195 per hour.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that, the attorney that, helped us through the, evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't charge us at all. He
Right, so
did
He's
that.
not an attorney. He's a leadership consultant.
Okay, the leadership consultant, yeah, they did a nice job
Mhm.
walking everybody through that.
It was excellent.
And that was for free, so,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it balances out. Good.
yeah.
Yep. And the reason why I was suggesting a separate contract, because then it would come out of the board budget easier, but if you just want to directly, however you want to work it.
Yeah, we can make sure it comes out of board budget.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
enough.
thank you. Whatever's easiest for you. Okay, thank you very much. Looking forward to that. Oh, this is exciting. H3, would you like to talk about the exchange student?
We have an exchange student there. There's some information that's private, so the board can look at it. We encourage exchange students to come to us, and sometimes our students are going on exchange programs as well. Our policy says that the board has to approve exchange students.
Yep.
Again, I strongly recommend that we approve this. It's a great experience for the student who comes, as well as for the host family and for the rest of the school to have an experience from students from abroad who stay with the family for often up to a full school year.
It's exciting. Great. Whoever made it possible, thank you. And the H4 revised calendar.
So, as you, I'm sure know, this last Friday, the 30th of January, I called a stay-at-home day that was not a flexible instructional day. It was much colder in the morning than we had anticipated. We started with a 3-hour delay, knowing that it was going to be cold, and then we saw the temperatures persist in the negative double digits. So I made the decision just to stay home for the day. We hadn't sent the devices home because we thought we were coming to school the next day. So what that means is we have to make up the day somewhere. So the calendar committee met yesterday and we talked through a few possibilities, and this is the recommendation that you see here. Basically what it is that the change is on April 2nd, which used to be no student day. We're going to bring students in for a half day. And then the other half day will be a clerical day for staff members. But then students get the Friday and Monday after Easter off. So by law, we have to make up the time. We have to have 175 student days. Actually, we have to have 990 hours for students in secondary, 900 hours for elementary students to meet that hour requirement and the hour requirements that we have for our CTC program. We can't give up any days throughout our school year.
No.
So if we have a day off that's not a flexible instructional day, we have to make that up somewhere. This is our plan to make that up.
That day they have to make up. I'm not familiar with how this works, but you say April the 2nd.
Yes,
That's a half a day.
yes.
Why couldn't they make it up April the 2nd, just use one of their computer days, and then we're not paying for busing for a day just for half a day? If they're still on the computer, it still counts.
We could use a flexible instructional day somewhere. However, I don't know that we're not going to it. I don't know that we're not going to use the other days that we have. We only have a certain number of flexible instructional days that we can use. And so I can't plan ahead to use something that we're only supposed to use in case there's inclement weather.
Well, it was for inclement weather.
Well, but it's after the fact. It's not on the day that we had the weather issue.
We pay busing per year contract or per day?
It's per student mile.
I know. That's on my personal goal list for next year, so we'll.
Now, why did we cancel school for it being cold?
Because it was very, very cold.
Because back in my day,
How deep was the
I've
snow?
never had
How deep
I've
was the
never
snow?
had a day off because it was cold.
I never did either, but hey. Different life, different world. But no, I agree. It was deadly. Some, you
It's
know.
not like it used to be.
Yeah, I can see that.
We don't even
Okay.
have snow like we used to.
So instead of the weather report, shall we move on to H5 and H6? This was the executive session and Christine found my mistake when I announced the executive session that we had this evening. It was at 5:32 to 6:31. Thank you for catching that. H7, consideration of approval of comprehensive plan. So what is your suggestion for this? Because we can read all of this, so.
This was, Megan presented this earlier
Yep,
this evening.
Yep. So-
And so this, I'm asking the board to approve the two comprehensive plans so we can put them out for public view for the 28 days that are required so that we can then upload to the state.
Okay, so. All right, no, we won't go any farther than that for this. Okay,
Is Bill
wonderful.
still with us or is
He is
he
not.
No, he dropped a long time ago.
I thought.
I did, I checked with Dr. Beat and she knows. Thank you. Thank you for noticing, Chris. Okay, H8, this is the one where, I remember Megan mentioned this, we need to appoint some folks, but I'm still not quite sure. And thank you for cutting and pasting the information, but I'm still not sure what these, folks are supposed to be doing. Can you please
Yeah,
explain
if you
that,
would.
Megan? It seems sort of vague, even though I know you just sent the information. I appreciate that. I did read it.
Yeah, so part of the comprehensive plan is that you have to follow up your comprehensive plan with a professional development plan for how you're going to train your staff to do the things that we said we're going to do in the comprehensive plan.
Sure.
The requirements from the state are that you have at least one board-appointed parent, one board-appointed community member, and one board-appointed business representative to review that professional development plan for their input and their perspective on whether they think that that professional learning plan coincides, I guess, with the goals of the comprehensive plan. So it's a change from the state. You would think that that would actually be in place for reviewing the comprehensive plan, but it's not. It's just the professional development plan that comes after the comprehensive plan. It's very confusing.
I still can't.
Yeah. So basically we need to have 3 people that are board appointed review the professional learning plan that the district puts out and creates based on the comprehensive plan. So for example, if we say we want to reduce major behavioral referrals by 10%, we're going to have to train our staff on additional techniques or strategies to look at that behavior. So these people would just be looking at what is our plan for training staff on the things that help us meet our goals.
Is this group, are they going to be specific or do they just say a vague thing like, well, they should increase training for tier 1, tier 2?
Yeah, ultimately it's just to get more perspectives and more opinions on what it is that we've laid out to train staff.
I'm still trying. I don't find the logic in this.
It's one of those weird PDE
All right, I will let this go.
nuances
I will let
that,
this go. I'll let it go.
yeah, and it's the change in this is that it has to be board appointed. Like on our comprehensive plan committee, we always have community members, we always have parents, we always have business representatives. So it's a change from PDE that it's specific to look at the professional development lane of that plan.
Okay, are these individuals employees of the school? Are they?
No,
Good, of course. And then I have 2 individuals that actually really want to do this.
Yeah.
So how would I just mention them next week to when we appoint?
I think yes, and if you let Christine and myself know that we can make an adjustment on this section
Sure.
of the potential recommended folks. So again, we need 3 people that we need the board to appoint.
Are you envisioning that those 2 would be in addition to the
Yes.
3 that we
Oh,
identified?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, so we'd end up with 5 board appointed members, which is great.
Does that sound, and then they'll have someone to lead them?
Yeah,
Okay, good, okay.
yeah. So once
we're not
they're
doing the
appointed, yeah. Once they're appointed, I'll reach out to them and I'll schedule a meeting to talk about the process.
Super terrific, okay. I will let that one go, thank you. 9, this is very exciting, Vector Solutions Agreement. Is there any comments, concerns? I know everyone's been working very hard on this.
Can you explain to the 3 new board members just real quick what that is?
Go, please.
No. Go ahead, I haven't read it.
So
Oh,
the,
this is, okay, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
So this specific program, Vector Solutions, it's a tracking program for professional development, which we're required to track professional development and report to the state. It's called Act 48 credit, and that's what our professional staff has to maintain their certificate. So this is the tracking program for that. Currently, the program that we have in place is about $6,000 more than what this program cost. And we currently use Vector Solutions for our training aspect. So this is just the tracking program that marries nicely to this and will help keep efficiencies while saving us about $6,000.
Good job.
It's pretty exciting. It's just-
Sorry, I didn't read it yet. I'm
Oh, no, I didn't expect.
Buffalo.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin. The legislative luncheon, would someone like to discuss this?
Sure, the Clinton County Economic Partnership has pulled together a legislative luncheon on April 9th, and they've kind of put out a broad invitation. And so I plan on going. The district is a member of the Economic Partnership. So if we want other board members to go, that would be great. But because it would be an expenditure of board funds to send you to professional development thing or an event, we would need to have a list of who wants to go and then approval for the board to spend money for board members to go to a thing.
It's very reasonable.
Christine, I answered you on that.
So the best way to indicate if you would like to go is to send Christine and the board chair a note about that. And then we'll just list the names on the agenda for next week for the voting session.
Yep, I mean, it's the Thursday, second Thursday, so there's no committee meetings or anything, it's just
Right.
work, voting.
It's a
at
voting
night.
session after.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd be a good candidate, Chris. IU10 consultation proposals.
We mentioned this a couple of times throughout today.
Yes.
We're looking at having the team from IU10 and in particular Dr. Hayes look at a few of the aspects of how we're going about setting up the educational experiences for kids to make sure that it's as good as it can be. And so we're looking at the culture and climate of our school districts, how we're dealing with discipline behavioral issues. And then we're also asking her to look at curriculum and how we're working with students with special needs. And the fourth one, the cyber retention, thank you.
Yeah,
And
that's-
so we're looking at, actually, the first thing I mentioned, the last thing I mentioned are gonna come first. Because we think we can, one of the things that we talked about with Dr. Hayes is let's look at the things that will have the greatest leverage on the greatest number of students to improve the conditions for learning for all kids. And let's look at those things first. So we're really looking at how can we create an environment that will draw more students in, and how can we get the word out to those students that things are changed so we can draw kids back from the cyber charter academies.
Yeah, I was really impressed with their presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you found value in that. Good, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, Act 93 agreement representation. This is a topic that the board president needs some direction. Did you want me to go out and contact and talk to John or somebody, or how did you want any representation when you start talking about the Act 93 agreements?
I thought we had already discussed that.
Well,
But yes, we want to have some representation to work with us through that.
We do have a district solicitor who would probably be appropriate to work through these negotiations. Or if you want to go outside of that, of course, the board can choose to go that way as well.
Okay, well,
District
Elizabeth had
solicitor,
said
that's
about,
Lindsay.
Yes, sir.
Elizabeth had said about going with, King's Prize because they did it before.
Well, so the district has never had representation in the work agreement with Act 93. So again, it's not a negotiation.
Discussion.
It's a discussion. It's a meet and confer between Act 93 and the board.
Right.
So it's not like a contract negotiation. It's
Right. More or less some training help and,
well, so the training
thought.
help is a different issue,
Right.
right? So the training issue you've already talked about in the previous thing. My understanding is this is why, when you do that meet and confer, you would like to have legal representation at that time.
Guide them.
And that's, again, that it hasn't happened in the district before. So I don't know if Kingsbury has had any experience working with boards on
like
Act 93.
Elizabeth, you checked that out.
Well, does the board want to give me a directive to
Yep.
make a formal discussion with him
Yep.
and then report back to you? Okay, got it.
So that
Will
would,
do.
would that be a vote for next week or is that, are you
Well,
just
I'm
looking
That
for
just
should be a
consensus on
vote
that?
for next week.
Yep, yep.
So we don't have to worry about collecting who says what now.
Board vacancies. Current update, you might have seen the Express newspaper online or the Express, the Court of Common Pleas. The judge has talked about the steps that he is doing to fill
Yeah,
that vacancy. We have the Region 8, which I have already discussed for the passing of Tom. And Secretary and Dr. Redmond will figure out exactly how we can work that schedule. So it's gonna be more special meetings. That keeps them special, keeping them special. So to be up, this is your option. And I wrote this in an email to you during that whole other situation. The Region 4 vacancy is already being handled by the judge. But from what the solicitor explained to me is that if you want to have another special meeting for the Region 4 to interview newer candidates, you have that option with the understanding that, you know, if the court fills it first, it's filled. If you fill it first, I guess, and it's appointed, it's filled. So we need to make a decision, and same with the Region 8, which is a brand new one. So you're gonna have another one this month. So you're gonna have the one that we postponed tonight. You're gonna have the one that's for Tom this month. And then you got the Region 4 hanging out there with the courts. So please.
I'm under the impression that Judge Miller put it out that anybody that's interested, contact him and go fill it out.
Oh,
At
yes.
such a time. So there's no reason for us to have a special meeting and open it up. He did it.
Oh, I concur,
So
but it's your
let-
decision.
Let him
Your
do
decision.
that.
Now that it's in the court,
Mm-hmm.
will we even know if there's any new candidates to have another special meeting?
I can't even,
Not till he makes his decision.
I have no idea.
So they're gonna make the decision, so there is no need for another special
Exactly.
meeting.
Correct. It'll
But
be
you
a binding
still have that
decision.
option. I'm not recommending it. I'm just letting you know what I was told.
You know
Okay,
what?
so we
I've
have,
done Loganton to Keystone Central so many times this month, my van can do it on its own.
because we're
So
special.
I'm gonna say,
Sorry.
let that Region 4, let it be handled by the court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Done deal. All we have to do then is Region 9 and Region 8,
Yes.
which I think are gonna be pretty simple.
So if someone new wanted to apply for, just for say they did,
They gotta
they
get a
wanted to
hold.
apply here, it'd be down there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think they have a cutoff date of February 23rd, so, but don't.
Yeah, they do the resume, everything they do for us, the resume and all that, they do for Judge Miller. Judge Miller will
Interviews.
independently sit down with each candidate, interview it, go over their stuff, make a decision.
Okay, lovely. So Region 4, and then we're gonna focus on these two this
Done.
month. Mhm.
So if I, just to clarify, next week, we're rescheduling for Region 9.
If, once we confirm that both Megan,
Both candidates
I
can
know
make it.
Roger, but we gotta make sure Megan can be there.
And then to the 30-day window for us is up at the end of February. So February 28th would be the 30th day.
So we have time.
So we
So we
could,
talking for 8?
yes. So 8 could be that last week of February.
Oh, last week.
Why do we have to push it to the last day?
We
Yeah,
don't have to wait. I'm just,
Let's
What
get
is
it
your
done, then
preference?
we have some time to play with if we have to.
yeah, so I think it's a mix of how long of a window do you want to have the applications open? So we don't, maybe that avoids the issue that we had with the last
Well,
one.
what's normal, 5 days?
No, it's normally at least 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks, and
okay, 2 weeks. That would,
whatever past practices we've done for the rest of them.
2 weeks would put it to the last week.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Look
Um,
at your calendar, John.
I would, I mean, if we can get it publicized and out, which means it probably wouldn't be in the newspaper until the 9th, which is Monday.
We could get something in the weekend paper, couldn't we? Christine,
Sometimes
if we
they
put
work
it-
with you, but if you have time.
We can get it in probably by 10 in the morning.
Yeah, we can do that. That should
Yeah.
be easy.
Okay, we'll just keep it simple. So we'll do, but can the board give us a directive? I personally like interview vote. I mean, that's how I like it, but
On the same day.
yeah, just boom, boom.
Also,
Yeah.
also, let's advertise it on the
Facebook.
Facebook page
Yep.
for the district
Mhm.
and on the district website.
Mhm.
Let's get as much exposure as we can. And in the Express, the one in Renova, I guess, is no longer.
We get a radio.
Yeah.
Are they doing online though?
Online.
Radios.
Okay, so we could put it in the record online also.
Thought the record shut down.
It is.
Printed paper, but they're online.
So
I don't
Dr.
think so.
Redmond had a great idea. The local radio station, it's
Yeah.
actually really popular and they do run specials. I'm,
We'll check into it. Don't know if it's possible or not, but we'll see what we can do.
Right.
yeah, so, okay, the question is, so you have, it'll be the Region 8 only, all right? So can we say Wednesday, the 25th?
It's terrible.
Wednesdays are terrible, okay. Then
We
can
could go
we,
after, I'm sorry for interrupting, maybe after the finance committee meeting, if we have a few people here.
well, we're gonna need 4 people, until the policy changes, we literally have to have 4 people sitting in the room. We
Agreed.
can't have 3 online and 2 sitting here. They all have to, we need 4 here, otherwise the online person doesn't.
So we're gonna have,
Quorum.
we're gonna have Region 4 here on the 12th.
Assuming that Megan can.
Yeah, assuming that Megan
Mhm.
can be here. I know Roger said he would be. So that one could be done.
Mhm.
Region 9.
That is Region.
That is Region 9.
Oh, that, I'm
Region
sorry.
8.
No, we
That's
only have
Region
2
9,
now.
Region 8.
Yep.
Uh,
The 24th. Well, we can do the evening of the 24th.
The evening of the 24th works for me. That is Tuesday, the 24th. Committees,
yeah, we're done with the finance meeting is at 3. We'll probably be done by 4:30 in that ballpark. And that's a whole board meeting anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll all be here.
I won't be here at that meeting. Doesn't matter, but I can make, if you start the interviews at 5, I can be here by 5. I have a conflict that day.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so can we say, all right, 5 PM, Region, was it 8? Region 8, 5 PM, interviews, I'm so sorry.
What day was that?
24th.
February 24th, 5 PM, Region 8 interviews. Followed by appointment. And do you want to keep it a split meeting? Special interview, special appointment, or
I think it should be a interview slash appointment meeting right then and there.
so
We don't
not
have to have
two,
two
not two,
meetings.
thank you. It's just extra work.
Mhm.
just one special meeting.
They interview and appoint a Region 8
Yep.
Right.
candidate.
Yep, and I don't know how false information got out there, but people can be interviewed on the phone and they can be interviewed on Zoom. Okay, and they can be interviewed in person. I don't know how that all started, but that was never an
I
issue.
don't either, so let's do that on the 24th.
Appointment that day.
Pardon?
I say let's do that at 5 o'clock on the 24th.
Mhm.
And then when do you want to swear them in?
They have to do it within 10 days. So they
Okay,
have to have the statement of financial interest first, and then we can do the swearing in. We could do it the next week in the March work
Mhm.
session.
could they do the statement of financial interest with their application?
Well, they
Or no?
could, but it's so easy. You just go online,
Yeah.
you fill out a couple of, you've done it.
I do
Boom.
6 of them a year.
Boom. It's really simple.
5 PM and.
So if the board wants, we could include that as part of the application criteria. It's similar to, you have to have it when you're running for the office, you have to have it ahead of time.
Yeah, it takes 2 seconds to fill it out. It's not, not asking a big deal.
I know, but just please consider this. We say, we recommend, because all of a sudden if we say they have to have it, then we're gonna hear, well, they didn't have to do it. So maybe we could just say, we recommend you have it completed.
We can, yeah, or we prefer to have the statement of financial interest so that we can,
Unless that goes in policy.
Oh,
We can add it in on the policy
I hope so,
committee
but it won't be voted on.
Yeah,
prior
till
to.
after.
Yeah.
I did, like Dr. Redmond said, look, recommend that they do it.
Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds and that cuts a lot of extra meeting out.
Oh,
So if we have to do it within 10 days, we might as well swear them in right then and there.
I would love that.
Making the effective date for Mr. Cannon, it's what day are we making that effective? That he,
we announced it in last Thursday.
okay.
Okay, so when do you want applications in? 12 o'clock by what time? The 20th? Is that, or,
Yes, I
Sooner?
would say the 20th.
okay, so applications shall be, applications shall be in by 12 noon.
On,
February 20th.
Mhm.
right.
And that's the BOG 004,
Mhm.
the resume, and,
Financial interest.
Statement of financial
Yep.
interest.
Okay.
So
and
everyone at
no
home
can-
listening.
No one will be interviewed. Do we have a consensus? No one will be
Mhm.
interviewed unless
Mhm.
she receives
Yes.
Everything.
and is vetted. Okay, super terrific.
Everyone at home listening, the 20th by 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
everything in.
Thank you, Bob. We're getting there, getting there. Okay, is there anything in I, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, that would anyone has any concerns about?
Any
First read.
questions? This is all the stuff we went over in policy
Mhm.
meeting.
Mhm.
If you look into it, you'll see if something was changed, it'll be crossed out, or if it was updated, it'll be in bold. So if you have any questions, you can get with me through the week here and we'll
Mhm.
get through it.
Yeah. These aren't real controversial ones or more
No.
state, federal mandates.
The most
Um,
controversial one there was number 3, the weapons, and that pretty much following state
Mm-hmm.
laws.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yep. Okay, I'm sure you've all enjoyed reading J 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Do I have any questions or concerns? The secretary always sends it out early, so committee members can voice any edits. They do a good job that way. Okay, K1, bills for review. Any
Yeah,
questions?
I sent Joni a list and I was kind of rushed with it today on some stuff I need questions on. So Joni and I will talk about it and go over it.
Okay, super.
And then if I see anything that's really out wild, why, we can discuss it next week.
I appreciate that. Thank you. K2 is just a landing spot for future things. It's blank. K3, the library weeding report. If there's any questions on this, and they're doing something different. I think Dr. Redmond explained it to me. I think Bill had a question occasionally when this comes up. If they're recycling, restoring, or donating these books, are they buying any new books in their place? And from what I understand, basically the answer is no.
Well, sometimes
But-
yes, sometimes no, depending on the book. So if it's a book that hasn't been checked out in 10 years, it's unlikely that we're going to replace it with a new one of the same title.
Mhm.
Right? So that's part of what our team does is they look through those books that just haven't been checked out in a long time. We get rid of them. They're taking space on the shelf. They're not doing us any good. And maybe someone at the Ross Library wants to read the book, or someone in one of the other schools in the area want it. So that we make the books available to other entities that might want them. The Ross Library in the past has taken a lot of our books that we're removing from our inventory. And then we're constantly buying new books for libraries, especially in the elementary libraries. There's a lot of new publications for young readers. And so that's kind of a constant stream coming in.
Okay. All right, super terrific. K4, this
Yeah.
has gone through the
You want
facilities.
me to explain that
Oh,
if you want?
yeah. This one, go ahead. This
All right.
facilities committee.
Last year, just to bring you guys up to speed, Mill Hall was having a grease problem and paper towel problem in the sewer, blocking the sewers up. Our grease traps and everything were cleaned. We're the ones taking the hit on it. All of a sudden, now Bald Eagle Township has the thing, and they just sent us a $2,000 bill per year to clean the lines up and stuff. We don't really know that we can get out of it. Sam seemed to think that
Mm-mm.
it was not completely right, but what do? You have a municipality saying, oh, we're getting all this in the lines. Sam and them had the traps in all schools cleaned professionally. So there shouldn't be a problem, but it is what it is. I'd like for them,
We can't fight that?
Well,
I think Sam's going to see if they'll come in here and sit at a meeting with us.
And we have with Mill Hall Borough.
Yeah,
And ultimately, this agreement is going to be a lot more expedient and a lot less expensive than trying to fight it if we pay $2,000 a year.
right.
It's a far less expensive venture than getting into a legal battle about what it is and the cause and all
Right,
that sort of
because they
thing.
said if we didn't want to pay the $2,000, we could build our own sewer system, and we're not gonna do that,
it's not in the budget this year.
right?
How much does it,
2,000 this year, which isn't bad. What is it 5 years from now?
Well,
They give them an inch, they take a yard.
it's possible, but luckily, I think Bald Eagle Township, has a really good working relation. I mean, Sam, the
Sam has a
facilities.
good relationship with them.
Yeah, and they're just trying to keep I'll be honest with you, I've seen some of the photographs of some of the stuff that gets trapped in there, and then our team doesn't have to clean it out either, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
how much is it to clean it out?
It
How much did it
depends.
cost?
It depends.
Well,
I don't know.
they're saying it's about that cost for
Yeah.
extra labor.
Okay.
I think Sam was gonna ask them to come talk to us too, wasn't he?
He's online if you want to talk to him.
Oh, is he?
Oh.
Sam, you on there? Go Colton.
Oh, there he is.
I didn't realize Sam was there.
Yeah, bottom left.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I've been kind of dealing with this for a year and a half. I've been in a job, and
Yeah.
I went and sat with the Bald Eagle Township Sewer Authority, and some of the things they're finding from the school district. I agree they're coming from the school. When it's summertime and school's not in session, they don't see these issues. So the township is claiming that during the school year, they're spending an extra, instead of cleaning the strainers every 10 days, they're cleaning them, 3-4 times a month, a little extra. So I had asked them to provide us a cost for that extra maintenance throughout the year. in an alternative to the school district spending, $500,000, $1 million and putting a sewage treatment or sewage collection system here on site. And I think it behooves the school district to pay this, $2,000 a year for a little extra maintenance to clean out the things that could possibly be coming from the school district. I think in taxpayers' best interest, this is the best move for us, is to just pay the $2,000 right now for the year. That's per their letter. And instead of us, going down the road of engineering service, construction, everything else for a sewer system.
Yeah, he's been working on it for a year and a half, and then we're hopefully, I think, Sam, you said maybe you might be working with Mill Hall Borough to see if you can get something similar or something. I don't remember what you said, but
Yeah, I mean, the interesting fact of all this is that nothing gets said for years. New guy comes into service here a year and a half ago, which is me. And now I get blasted with the borough and the township. And here, these things come to light, and it's like, it's not like either one of these schools have ever increased student, population or anything like that. But now we have, these heightened concerns. So I think as fiscal stewards and, community members, we can all come to agreement that if we have to do this, it probably is the right thing to do.
well put, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, any other questions about sewer things? Okay, super terrific. L1 personnel, we have the 2 student teachers and the projections for retirements, etc. Any questions?
What was that again, Lou?
Oh, we're on L1. We have 2 different attachments. One is for the student teachers, which is a really interesting program. And the other one is our standard personnel sheet with all the different leaves of absence, employment, etc. Is there any questions or concerns on that? Okay. L2 is the general cafeteria worker job description. Changes, you can see highlights, strike throughs, red text. Is there any questions on this? It's fairly simple, but it's okay? All right, super terrific. Then we have the curricular, co-curricular, athletic, and student activities personnel. We get this, I think, quarterly when they get new coaches or they change coaches.
That one's every meeting, you'll see those changes. It's the student report on the next one that's quarterly.
That's when it's quarterly. Thank you. Any questions or concerns on the individuals that they have planned for this? Okay, thank you. M2, the student activities quarterly report. I would just, I'm going to hold my comments on this one for now because it's not a priority, but it's a start. We got a spreadsheet going. Any other questions or concerns about that one? Okay. Wow, N1, items for future discussion. This is a moment where if a board member would like to take a few minutes and if there's any concerns or anything that they would like to have put on the agenda, or if they have something they've heard from their committee members, community members that they would like to share, you have a moment.
You have that down as future topics, okay? In our policies, 006, it's listed that is supposed to begin negotiations. How that got changed, I don't know.
Begin negotiations?
If you look.
I know our policy agenda does
Look
not
in
match.
006, it says that's supposed to be negotiations.
I think the 006 kind of gives us some flexibility. It says that it may include, I don't think it's.
All right, well, it actually has negotiations listed in the list, so we need to just make sure that they're on the same page.
That one has never been touched, that agenda page, since I've been here.
Well, I know, back in August of last year, it was negotiations was showing up.
I don't,
So it got changed, but I'm just gonna say we need to fix it. It's gotta go one way or the other so it aligns with the policy.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, policy doesn't match our agenda for a long time.
Right. That's all I got on that.
If I could, just looking over the policy, it says the order of business, regular meetings, and special meetings called for general purposes shall be as follows, unless altered by the president or majority of those present and voting.
Mhm.
So that gives the chair if the chair
Right.
wants to change things around and
And that's fine. I just want to get it so it aligns with their policies, that's all.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
can stay
it needs to
future
be updated.
topics, but we need to line it up.
It needs to be absolutely updated. Is there anything else? Yes, sir.
Here, I'd say maybe a month ago, I brought up about the parking.
Why didn't, yeah, that's right. Tell the story. It's a good one.
And somebody said that, I thought it was Sam was gonna give us a aerial view or whatever.
He did. He did in the facilities committee meeting. It might be on the facilities committee meeting
I'll look
agenda.
that up.
And he did an excellent job in a very short period of time. And he said he was gonna come back, which would be this month, February, to give us some more details. Right now, he's working with, I guess, the security team to make sure, and the insurance company, that was it, the insurance company. But he loved the idea and he found a spot for every school. So good job, John.
I'm sorry.
Anything else? Okay,
Hold on.
oh,
Well, I don't know. What are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
If you-
we can discuss it.
Okay. I was informed very recently that there was an issue in another school where, and I got to get everything together with the story, but I needed to bring this up because the way it was handled was very poorly. But there was an issue in a school where there was a gentleman that came in and was
That's
very
our
threatening
facilities.
towards a staff
Thank you.
member. And the staff member felt like it was brushed off and it was not handled correctly. That is something that's going to be brought up in the security meeting.
good.
We will be talking about this. But until I find out a little bit more, we need to figure out what's going on and why the issue was felt like it was not handled correctly. It's something that it got me very upset because I know that person personally, and I know that she was not making anything up in that situation. It's just something up for discussion that
When is your next security meeting? Did you guys ever, I'm sorry, did you, committee members ever discuss that?
We have them quarterly,
yeah.
Okay,
but he can call one at any given time that you want.
Well, if I could, on an issue like that, if you want to work through what happened, why it happened, that's a perfect opportunity for you to kind of let me know, hey, I want to talk more about this, and you and I.
And I didn't bring it up, it happened pretty recently and I couldn't get to an email in time for everything. And with everything I have going on, it slipped my mind yesterday to shoot you an email about it.
Yeah,
But-
I would get with him and talk about it.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Maybe even if Justin set in too.
Depends on what it is, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And
So-
then we can discuss how it went in safety and security.
Okay.
Thank you, Manny.
Motion to
So
adjourn.
wait, the next meeting is, voting session, February 12th. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I just did it.
Oh,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Wake
good night,
up.
everyone. Thank you.